Hey guys, just some dude here. So a question I get sometimes is, Nick, why a knife or why a blade specifically? And this could be, an EDC situation or a self-defense situation or something like that. Now guys, if you've watched my channel, I have a video a little bit about some of the knife drills I like to do. And those are primarily self-defense or dexterity building drills. Okay, specifically for me with a knife, I like a knife for a lot of different reasons. All right, so a knife is a great self-defense tool. Sure, you can do a lot of cool things in a situation like that. Plus, a knife almost anywhere in the world you can carry a knife besides restricted communities, and a knife with specific mechanisms you may not be allowed, like a Balsong knife or butterfly knife or a locking blade or an automatic or an out the front. Don't want to get into any of that stuff right now. A knife you can pretty much carry anywhere, or in that type of situation you can carry anything that resembles a knife, such as a pen for a self-defense situation. Even if it's a one-stop go and the pen's gone type of thing, it's still something you can carry. But specifically for me, in this type of situation, I always refer to any weapon as a tool. Any weapon that you use, whether it's nunchucks, a knife, a gun, a bow staff, whatever it is, whatever traditional or weapon you are talking about, is an extension of your body. So therefore, you have to know how to use your body first in order to use a weapon efficiently. And I'm not saying train yourself up in unarmed skills before you do any weapons. I'm saying weapons are supplemental in with training your body as well. So specifically for knives, I like knives, but a knife is, in terms of a weapon, lethality. Not a knife is introducing a lethal weapon in this situation. So always you need to know that. You need to know the escalation of force before you talk about anything like that. Me specifically, as far as an EDC thing, I prefer a knife because a knife is a tool. If you've ever heard the saying, a sharp knife is safer than a dull knife, it is 100% true. The cool thing about a knife, and I talk about this once in my other video, the cool thing about a knife compared to, say, an expandable baton or a nunchuck or a stick, anything like that, the cool thing about any edged weapon compared to those is that any blunt instrument requires acceleration. All right, so for me to inflict damage upon Bob, I need acceleration to move for whatever I am doing. All right, acceleration. So you got your E = mc squared, mass times force, or mass times acceleration, force. We're not talking about that right now. With an edged weapon, you just need pressure, or with an edged tool, you need pressure. So in terms of a sharp knife is safer than a dull knife. Guys, anyone who carries a knife, whether they say it's for self-defense or whatever, is going to use it every single day. You open boxes, primarily opening those Amazon packages, opening a letter because it's a modern day letter opener. A knife is a tool that almost anyone carries, if you carry that, for those types of things. Can't open that bag of chips. Cool. Oh, you can't open this cheese stick. Whatever. You have a knife. And you just use the edge weapon specifically for that, or whatever in your daily task you use it for. That's great. A sharp knife is safer than a dull knife because you do not have to work as hard. So if I have this extremely dull knife right here, that's a piece of wood. So I have this extremely dull knife right here, okay? For me to, Bob is a tree that I am batoning my knife to take down, all right? If it is a dull knife, I have to work that much harder, apply that much pressure and force to get through to work. All right, anytime you apply more pressure, the danger increases. All right, so a dull knife, I have to apply more pressure, more force to cut through or to baton through whatever I'm doing like that. Same thing with you're cutting off zip ties, you're opening a bag of chips or a box. A dull knife, you have to tear that much more, dunk it towards yourself, of course, all those things. But a dull knife, more pressure, higher chance of slipping up, cutting yourself with something. A sharp knife is safer, less force, less pressure, cuts through easily. Okay, that's number one. Two, the pressure thing. I can't get away from that. To me, you cannot drive this home enough from anyone who carries a knife specifically for a tool. Pressure is, and in self-defense as well, pressure is extremely underrated. Yes, my tool works effectively for acceleration techniques, which is great. Anytime I move, it's slash. But if you do not know this, lethality on a blade is not judged upon or lethality on a blade is judged upon the length of the blade in relation to wound tract. All right, so going to ammo for a second, people are like, oh, 22 is less lethal than blank, 9mm. 9mm makes a bigger wound track, okay. Some people say, hey, the 22 will bounce around a little bit more, especially for a skull shot, something like that. It'll bounce around, create a bigger wound track. Again, same type of thing. Blades specifically, they judge lethality on the stab, the wound track left behind. So a sharp blade, in a slashing motion like this, less lethal than a specific stab. Very important there. All right. Then knowing things like a slash versus a tear. So a blade turned at a slight angle, or a rigid blade, or a dull blade for that matter, will create an irregular wound track, harder to heal, harder to clot. Again, lethality increases with something like that. So these are all things to think about. I don't advocate violence at all. I advocate self-defense for sure. And like I said, anyone who carries a knife with them, it's primarily a tool. Your knife is your tool. All right. Your gun is your tool. Whatever firearm you have will be a tool. It is more of a single-use tool than a knife. You're not opening your bag of chips with a gun, hopefully. But yeah, so an edged weapon, specifically calling them edged weapons, an edged tool has greater functionality than blunt instruments in self-defense and everyday life. So for me, yeah. I got my gym carry. So on my gym carry, I carry Spyderco Pacific Salt, fully serrated, which is nice. Don't have to work as hard for those. I'm great at cutting almost all the things I carry and cut, which is good. And it's the H1 steel, so it doesn't rust whenever I'm wearing it when I'm sweaty working out in the gym, or whenever I'm running in the summertime, you know, like that. It's a good EDC gym carry for me. It's not my everyday carry. If you guys want to see a video like that, I can get into it. But I specifically want to talk a little bit more in depth about blade, pressure, safe use, some of that kind of stuff with a knife, and a little bit more education. Guys, if you don't know anything and you are a guy who carries a firearm for self-defense, learn about escalation of force, learn about de-escalation techniques. It's way more important. Being able to talk yourself out of anything. The chances you're going to pull a pistol, extremely rare. Pistol encounters happen within 3 to 5 feet primarily. So the idea of you carrying for self-defense, maybe not the most accurate thing. You maybe can say, hey, I carry for an active shooter, accurate shooter situation, in terms of return fire, put the shooter off their game, do that transference of thought thing. Again, there, but an EDC as far as a knife for a tool or a self-defense weapon, still, it's that lethal force bringing into the situation. So always know your rules, know your laws. Carry, act professional, and de-escalation is key. You can talk yourself out of any situation. So, all right, guys, hope you learned something. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time.